Hey Derek, it's so good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you too, as always.
I know. How are you doing? Like, what's been going on? We haven't chatted in a moment, but just
Yeah.
how are you doing? Like, and what's been going on in your world?
Oof. Oh man, well, thank you again for having me back. I always love conversing with you and just having these intimate conversations and hopefully, connecting with people and helping others who may be listening. But it's been since our last conversation, I've been just kind of in the trenches, working kind of head down. I've been quiet. I've been working a lot on my own content on serving me. One of the things that I found out through some self awareness and evaluation work was I tend to always be externally focused. So, how can I serve and support others? But then I would leave myself high and dry. I wouldn't
Mhm.
spend the time to do things that I wanted to do personally or, reach goals or tasks that I wanted to do personally. And what would happen would be I would get frustrated with myself later, and I'm like, I said I was going to do this, but this client, thing has come up, so let me take care of this first. So always putting everything externally before me, and so I just did a personal shift to be more intentional about, okay, Derek, what is it that you want to do, and intentionally carving out time,
Mhm.
energy, and space to take care of those things. So that's been the biggest learning lesson and the biggest thing that I've been really focusing on. So getting quiet and getting still to
Mhm.
really reorganize and restructure my lifestyle and my daily to make sure that that time, energy, and space is there.
I love it. Well, before we just right into everything,
Uh
first
huh.
I want to thank everyone for joining me. My name is Camille Essek. I'm the host of the Speaker Podcast, and tonight I had to bring back my brother and friend Derek D. Ross. Um, he is, when I say, probably one of the most insightful people that I know. There's not been a time that I have not talked to Derek, whether it's online or offline, that I've gotten something from him that I could take with me until we speak again. He's young, but he has a old soul, very wise, gifted person, very personable, very genuine. There's a authenticity to his
Mhm.
persona. Somebody I really, really appreciate in my life. How God brings people in your lives, and he's one of those people I truly appreciate. I do not take him for granted at all. If you do have the privilege of connecting with him, you will see it the first time you talk to him, as I have. So thank you so much, Derek, for joining me as I begin to close out season 6 of the Speaker Podcast. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for that. I always, um, we pray to God that we show up in people's lives and we show up, how He's created us to show up. And so, just hearing, you say that to me humbles my heart, but it also, lets me just say thank God for me just continuing to be me and to show up 100% as myself and seeing how that can impact and help people, right? That you don't have to be something different than who God created you to be in order to make an impact in the world. So thank you for seeing me and for sharing that and just, confirming what God has already, validated in me. So thank you.
No problem. Um, the last time you were here,
Uh huh.
it was for Heart and Soul. So
Yeah.
since Heart and Soul, first of all, you dropped
Listen.
some gems. That was my first time doing a virtual event, and you truly, truly dropped some gems. And I just want to say thank you
Hmm.
just for being there to help me kick off. That's something I want to start doing more often. But thank
Yeah.
you. But since then, well, first of all, let's rewind. Those that may not be familiar with you, just I'm sitting here fixing my bangs, we're trying to be cute. But those that are not familiar with you and your brand, let everyone know, let the listeners know and the viewers know who is D. Ross and what does he do?
So sorry, dropped my phone. So my name is Derek D. Ross, and I have been in the marketing, branding, PR field for 16 years now. And so, what I really do is I help establish and growing entrepreneurs and business owners identify, create, and translate ideas into actionable strategies that help them amplify their voice, amp up their visibility, and create impact and results. So, a lot of times that looks like, hey, I'm stuck. I have this idea and I don't know how to translate that into a strategy that aligns with my business, my goal, and that can serve the audience that I'm trying to impact. And
Mm,
so I work with business owners and entrepreneurs to really to flesh that out, to brainstorm what does that look like, and then start to put the pieces together so that everything is integrated and everything works together to really drive it from in from beginning to end. And so I love doing that. Love doing that. I had a call with a friend today, and I always know when I'm in my bag because things just happen and it flows so easily. And so it took me a long time to get to that point to really get clear on that. But now that I'm there, I'm moving full steam ahead.
I love it. I know before we started the episode, we were talking offline about life changes,
Hmm.
adjusting in the lane. It's cool when we're in the straightaway, but when life throws us those curves, like how
Yeah.
do we bend and move with the curves? November has definitely been a curveball for me. Just a lot of things that I did not
Hmm.
anticipate. You know, I'm so sorry. I don't know what is going on with this. I'm trying to tell people like I'm live. Please stop texting me. I'm so sorry. But and I silenced it on my phone, but for
Hmm.
some reason my MacBook is still shooting me the notifications and I'm trying to figure out how to turn that off.
Listen,
But
that's the technology. Gotta love it, right?
yeah, it's crazy. But just in those moments, I guess how do we navigate those curves? You know,
Hmm.
how do we get through it?
Um, you got to lean into it. I think about when you think about the curves and when you think about like motorcycle riders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they're going around a sharp curve, they lean into it so that they don't overshoot it and fly off the cliff. They lean into the curve so that they can take the momentum to slingshot around and move forward. And so sometimes with things that happen, I always think about, okay, there, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I can't change it. The fact and the reality is it's happening.
Right.
Okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to function in this space? What do I feel right now? So I spend a lot of time getting aware, like, what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? What can I control about it and what can't I control about it? So I take myself through these series of things just to kind of get a better sense of the reality of the situation. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes our minds can create stories and send us way down the spectrum on one end, and a lot of times we're somewhere in the middle. And so I try to always just say, okay, Derek, what's happening? I try to just center myself, get settled, whether that's go for a walk, listen to music, just do something just to kind of get me settled in and get me clear on what's taking place. And
Mm-hmm.
then I can start moving in that particular space. What's the next thing that I need to do? What's the next best step? I don't think too far ahead. I just
Right.
take it one step at a time.
Right. Um, I guess for me, because people say, "Oh, cancers are emotional, whatever." I'm a person that do live through those emotions, and I
Hmm.
think when you get in a space where God is showing you things, but then the end result is not what He showed you, and
Hmm.
then it's like you're upset because of the situation or the situation you're hurt and you're going through these emotions because like, okay, I don't understand what's going on because up until this point, things have been going according this way, and then the bottom falls out, right? And so
Hmm.
now you're just like you're upset because of the situation, the feelings, but then you turn on your man and God, like, wait a minute, God, this is not what you showed me, right? Like you showed me this dream a year ago, and now what is happening now doesn't look anything remotely like what you showed me. So now
Hmm.
you become in this conflict of your faith, like trusting God for what He showed you right now, can't trace Him, and it looks
Hmm.
it's just like polar opposite. And so, how
Yeah.
do you navigate that space? And you have people that are like, oh, just pray or whatever, and it's like I don't want to pray. Like
I
I'm really
don't
feeling
feel
the way
like
right
that right now.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, So how for you, where you're in that space, how do you navigate through that space, Derek? Or what can you share with the listeners or the viewers? Like,
Hmm.
what is your take on it?
I've learned to be very flexible with God and what He says. Because there's been times where I've had plans and I'm like, okay, God, I prayed on it, and everything that I prayed and what I needed in that journey to get to the thing that I wanted worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Everything worked out. And it reminds me of a time when I was I was working a full time job. I had
Mm-hmm.
made plans to go to grad school so that I can land my 6-figure job, and everything worked out. I was able to go to school. I got into grad school. It's the only grad school that I applied to. Got in early admission. Was working while I was in grad school. I wanted to leave early, resign my job early. Things was going crazy. God created a way where I was able to get the money I needed to support me while I just focused on my electives and I was like, okay, I'm good. Now I can land this six-figure job. I got the contacts, I got the master's degree, I got all this experience,
Mhm.
and I didn't land one job. 25 interviews, 25 cover letters, different professional styles in my resume, not one job. I mean,
So now you're navigating the no.
now I'm navigating the no because I'm like, everything looked exactly like you said. Everything I prayed for, what I wanted, how I needed it to happen, you orchestrated it, all worked out, it all laid out. And now here I am, you know, one paycheck away from not having enough money to pay my bills, working a part time job at the gym, making about $8, $10 an hour, something like that, which is a far cry away from six figures. And I'm sitting here like, okay, God, I know I know that I know you didn't take me through all this to have me lose everything that I had worked for, my car, all this other stuff to just be here. Like I said, I should just stay where I was if this was going to be the case.
Mhm.
And what I realized in that moment was I was taking what God said and I was making it my own instead of really leaning into what he was trying or trying to hear what he was really trying to say under it, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we can see what God is saying and then we'll take it for what it is and we'll run with it. But sometimes there's a disclaimer or there may be a caveat that we didn't see, right? And so I'm in that moment. I think I remember that I was in my mom's living room and I got an email and it was another no, and it was like the no that broke my back. And so I literally fell on my knees and I said, God, not my will, but your will. I said, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know. I said, but I can't do it. I don't know. I went left, right, up, down, and it doesn't seem to be working out. You
Mhm.
take it. And in that moment, I was neglecting my job at the gym because I thought it was beneath me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start treating that like my job. I was going to start treating that like that six-figure job. Camille, when I 2 weeks after I started working in that, I got a call from a friend that used to worked at Sister Magazine, and they said, "Hey, Derek, we have a contract for you. We want you to come work with us on a marketing contract." That was my first taste of entrepreneurship, leaving my job, and I was in New York. One of my prayers was to work in New York. I was in New York for a whole 2 weeks. Went to the Apollo Theater, met Chris Tucker, doing all this great work. Shortly after that, another job came, and so I was starting to um, be grateful and show him that I was grateful for the things that I have in my actions, not just in my words. And it just really started to multiply from that period on. And so a lot of it was, am I willing to really lean in even when I don't see what is going on, even I don't understand what the plans and what the shift was? Can
Mhm.
I lean into it and can I trust them in the process of it, even when I'm mad, even when I'm pissed off, even when I don't understand it? And that was the trajectory that led me down to the opportunity to start my business.
Wow. Wow. So we were talking about the navigation of all these different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
We're navigating the no. We're trying to find our way, our space.
Yep.
Um, we are attempting to learn this ever evolving world of social media and
Yeah.
technology. And then, boom, Clubhouse happens, right? And it's nonstop like alerts, ping, join this room, ping, join this room, ping, you should join this room. And in the noise of all this, because now it's like you're on Clubhouse, I'm on Clubhouse, and then we're listening to the speakers, and
Mm-hmm.
then we're going through the Instagram while they're talking, who is this person? And then the TV is on. And all this is going on. So with all this, and then we still have our brand, we still have school. Like I'm a full-time grad student on top of
Uh-huh.
working and podcasting. Thankful for it, but it can be a lot. It can be daunting. So when we are like, all right, pause, let's just pause this thing. Where do you go to unplug? And
Mm-hmm.
what are the benefits that you feel like are the benefits of unplugging?
For me, I read. Like I don't have the TV on. I don't have the music on. I'll get in a book and I'll read, or after I read, I'll turn on a playlist that it's something about music that reminds me of. Like I have certain playlists that take me back to a certain point in my life where I was just like,
What's on your playlist?
I have a gospel playlist, so I have like Rashawn Mitchell. I have a whole lot of those old school gospels that when I was going through certain periods,
Mm-hmm.
those were the songs that got me through. So it takes me back and it reminds me of those moments when I was like heavy in my praise, and so it just kind of it signals certain things. And then my old school R&B,
Yeah.
TLC, SWV, it just takes me back to those good days. So I have playlists like that. I rarely listen to new music. it's a lot of old school stuff because it takes me back to those times. And so I'll do those two. It's like, I'll get in my modes where I either read or I'll get into my music, and I don't have TV on or nothing. I'm just there and just in my zone. And so that's typically what I'll do when I need to take a break from just talking, from social media, from all that stuff. And then what I do, just for me, I just make sure that I protect my energy and protect my space. What can end up happening is when we are so connected and plugged in all the time, we
Mhm.
tend to lose our voice. We tend to lose our own thoughts because we're always absorbing, right? There's so many inputs coming in all over the place,
Right.
right? And
Totally.
so it's
Yeah.
just one of those things where you have to sometimes block out the inputs so that
Mhm.
you can hear your voice and you
Right.
don't get caught up in thinking that you're not enough or you don't know enough, or that you need something external all the time to do the thing that God has called you to do, or
Right.
that in your expertise that you know how to do. It's been times where, when I did that, things started to happen where I started trusting my voice more because I didn't have everybody else's voice in my head,
Right.
caused me to maybe second guess something that I would never have second guessed before. And so I think the importance of taking those breaks is to reconnect and stay connected to you as the expert, right? Why you started the thing that you started, why you set on this path to create impact in other people's lives, right? And not get caught up in the fear of missing out because, oh, I'm not here or I'm not there. Don't miss out on being here and being present with yourself, right? And so that's the thing that I'm like, my domain is just as important as getting on Clubhouse, getting on Facebook, getting on Instagram, getting in a conference, because this is where I have to produce. This is where I have to share, my gift from. They're not going to give me my gift. My gift is here. So if I don't cultivate this, if I don't stay connected and, working this thing like I do at the gym, right? If I don't stay in this space, then I'll always be looking for support. I'll always be looking for somebody to spot me, right? If I don't do the work myself to build my
Right.
own strength.
Yeah. I think that ties into, like we were talking about earlier, the power of saying no, setting boundaries, protecting your
Hmm.
peace. You hear growing up in church, protect your ear gate and your eye gate and your
Hmm.
mind gate, and these different gates, points of entry. For those that don't understand what that means,
Hmm.
your points of entry meaning protecting your ears for what you hear, protecting your eyes for what you see,
Hmm.
and then um, your mouth, like what's the communication coming in and out of that, filtering that and saying, because once you put stuff out there, it's out there, you can't take it back.
Right.
And sometimes we get emotional. I know there's times I've been upset, you've been upset, and we say things and it's out there, and in the heat of the moment,
Hmm.
it's what it is. Um, and some people may agree or disagree with it, but there's a saying that says if you want to know what somebody really thinks about you, make them angry. And
Listen.
and
Listen.
people also hide truth in jokes. Oh, girl, I was just playing.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it.
Jokes. There's always a thread of truth in a joke.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
always a thread of truth.
Yeah. I think for myself, right now, I'm always taking time to naturally I'm a very analytical person.
Hmm.
Just the way I'm wired, I want to know the core of the why,
Yeah.
and to dissect and break things apart. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it works against me. And in those moments I have to go stop, wait, turn that off, because if
Hmm.
not, my brain, it just, because I'm a visual person, I'm
Hmm.
very animated in my mindset, I'm very visual, I'm a natural creative. And you as a creative, we're always thinking, right? We're always, oh, how could I fix this, how could I do that? And because of our brains, like it's just always going, and we have to learn how to quiet our mind, we have to learn how to quiet our spirit,
Hmm.
right? So in that space, when you're reading or listening to music, I know for me, I know it sounds weird, cleaning. Like, cleaning is therapeutic for me. I'll turn on music, clean, even though my place is always clean, but I'll do it. It's
Hmm.
just a way to release energy. I'll light a candle because I like aromatherapy. I like my place to smell pretty all the
Hmm.
time. So it's just, that's just my space. Or I might go
Hmm.
in my closet, go through some things, throw some stuff out. Like maybe it's subconsciously my way of purging, getting rid of some old stuff. I don't like clutter.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think we all have our ways of processing. I journal. I'm one of those people. I have different journals around my place. I can just grab something in a moment. If I'm feeling a certain way, I'll journal at night before I go to bed. Like last night, I was journaling literally till I fell asleep because it's just
Mhm.
a way to put that on paper. I
Yeah.
feel like journaling, in terms of just emotional intelligence, emotional health, I think journaling is very healthy because
Mhm.
it's a space of no judgment, right? The
Mhm.
paper's not going to tell your business. It's not going to talk to you sideways. It's not going to be condescending. It's not going to judge you. And then when it's over, you can burn it, throw it away, trash it, whatever. It's done. And I think journaling is a very safe space.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on journaling, Derek? I don't want to sound like I'm rambling. How do
No,
you
no,
feel
no.
about that, or how do you deal with your stress?
Journaling is great. It's I always say it's another form of communication because the brain is very simple in its operating system, right? It's very complex in what it can do, but in its communication form, it's very simple. It's yes, no, simple words, and so journaling is just like a conversation. So the brain just understands that it's getting something out, as purging it out of here and putting it somewhere else so that you free up space. So I'm a big component of journaling, of writing it down, of expression, whether that's through dance, movement, singing, any type of artistry, so to speak.
Yes, because you are the king of Zumba.
Thank you very much. But yeah, it's any kind of artistry is a form of for me, relieving stress, serving others. So through Zumba and through just doing different things, like sometimes I'll just get on the phone with a friend and give some free advice. Different things like that shifts the energy dynamic for me. And so whenever I feel stressed, I always go to serve. Whether it's serving me, right, and taking a break, self-serve, and just kind of, okay, there, what do I feel? I always try to just assess myself. Like, am I feeling anxious? What am I feeling anxious about? Okay, do I need to take a nap? Am I tired? Because a lot of times it's physiological, right? Sometimes we just need to take a nap. Sometimes.
I did that today. Like a
Mhm.
lot was going on. And I said, you know what? I need a nap. Like,
Sometimes it's just as simple as that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I needed a nap. And
and
when
you
I
just
woke up, I felt a
refresh.
lot better. And I baked some chocolate chip cookies. And I
Right,
was,
listen.
yeah,
Also, but yeah, sometimes, and so sometimes we can always sometimes we miss the simple things.
hmm
Simple as a nap. Sometimes I just need some water. Sometimes I just need to get some fresh air. So I think if we pause enough and we do it often enough, we'll see the different things that our body is telling us that we need that we'll sometimes overlook. And then when we get to attune to it, we can jot it down and be like, okay, here, now I have a checklist of how I need to do a self assessment and check
hmm
myself. Do I need a nap? Do I need some water? Do I need some food? Do I need some fresh air? Do I need to unplug? And the different things that trigger you, and then you'll find different ways that you've done it in the past that have brought you relief. And then you can start just making a list, and it becomes your own personal checklist that you can then, just go back and guide yourself through to make sure that you're not missing anything when you need to go back and kind of assess and decompress and unplug, so to speak.
So, do you have a space like for me, those that come to visit? I know with
Mm-hmm.
quarantine, we're not doing a lot of visiting, but like right now, it's what it is. But
Mm-hmm.
outside of quarantine, like if I mean, you're in Durham, you're not far from me. So let's say
Uh-huh.
you, hey, I'm coming to Charlotte. People that know me, if you come to my house, I cook. I do
Mm-hmm.
it very well. I feed everybody. So if you were to come here, you go, oh, like it's very soft, it's very plush,
Uh-huh.
because my philosophy is when you come here, I want you to feel comfortable. I
Yeah.
want you to feel like this is a place you can relax. I'm very big into texture, so I have a lot of soft, fuzzy things. It's
Uh-huh.
very feminine. It smells really pretty, and I just want you to feel like, oh, I could just curl up in this corner and go to sleep, and that's what I want you to do because
Yeah.
that for me is one of my ways to decompress. I want my face to feel like a home of serenity. You walk in like, oh man, I feel like I'm at home in here. Like
Mm-hmm.
I walk on my floor, take the shoes off, at
Right.
the door. So, do you have a space in your home that is your place of to decompress, or is your entire place a place where you can decompress?
Well, before I moved back home, my apartment was very much the same. Like people come in, it was like, oh, it feels like home in here. Because I
Mm.
really, like I said, I'm all about comfort. I'm all about warmth. I'm all about,
We're like right here.
yeah, we're right here. Like, my mom used to always say, well, she still says it, like, if I can't have peace at home, then if I can't have it nowhere else, I'm gonna have it in my house. So
Exactly.
I think of my home as a sanctuary. Any place where I spend time, where it's me and my energy, it has to be a safe space. It has to be a comfortable space because it's a reflection of me, one, but then I also want people to feel the same way. So very much the same. But right now at home, my room is very cozy. Like, I do a lot of my work out in the living room. I have like my standing desk over here. This is the area where I kind of do all my recording and live stuff. And so when I just want to break, I'm in my room. Everything is set up. It's cozy. I
These
got my
Square
candles.
Studios.
You know what I'm saying? Like I got,
Yeah,
so it's very. I got my TV, and so I can just wrap up. I got my little plush blanket, my pillows stacked up. So if I just need to get a break, that's like my escape room. And I don't do. I really don't do work in there. I just try to keep that space clear
hmm
for when I need to decompress and just have me time and time for myself and space there. Or I'll go out for a walk, but or on the carport, over here behind me is the carport, and sometimes I'll go out there and I'll dance or I'll jump rope or I'll do some stuff or just sit out
hmm
there when it was warm. It's too cold now.
Oh
But
yeah, it's ridiculous now.
yeah, and I love cooking too. So sometimes
Okay.
I'll just, I love cooking too. So if I feel creative and I just
Oh, what are you doing in the kitchen? Like, what is your special?
just anything, baked macaroni and cheese,
What?
steak, pork chop. Listen, I can cook.
Don't make me drop to Durham.
Listen, we gotta have when
A
things,
cook off.
yeah, we gotta have a cook off and some things pop in there. But I love food. I love to cook, and so those are just some of the things that just behind the scenes of just of the business stuff, right? Just
hmm
the personal stuff. I'm a movie head, and I just sit and I watch movies, and it's like an escape for me for just a moment. If I can just get out of the reality of things and just give my
Yeah.
brain time to rest and just be right present, those are some things that really help me.
Awesome. You said you're a movie head.
Yes.
Excuse me. So, what is your genre, or what is like? What are you watching right now?
Man, I watch everything. Like my cousins and I, when we growing up, we used to always be horror buffs. So of course, horror movies are gonna be the first thing. I don't know why. I still jump sometimes and get
I
scared.
cannot.
So
Like I said before, my mind. I'm so imaginative and
right.
animating creative. I will have every light on. Like, what is that? And my dreams like are so vivid. Like I'm
Yeah.
there. I wake up sweating. Like no.
Yeah.
Now I can do a thriller. Like if you're coming,
Uh-huh.
I know it's like Jason's got the knife. I can
Yeah.
deal with that. But when you start dealing with like the demonic, the
Spirits and
spirit realm,
stuff. Yeah. I
no
gotta
child.
pray about that. Though some of those I'm like, yeah, nah. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, I love the thrillers. I love action and adventure movies, like when it's
Okay.
a group of people going on a quest and stuff like that. Like I
Yes.
love those type of things that have team and people connected together and they're
Mm.
going, and so and I love romantic comedies. I'm a romantic, so I love romantic
I
comedies and
cannot.
stuff like that.
No.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like action, suspense, thriller,
Uh-huh.
drama. Like, oh my God, did you see that girl? He's behind the door. Like that's me yelling at the TV, like,
Right.
oh, like that's me right there. So
Yeah, so those are fun, and then, again, they're all escapes, opportunities just as escape, and I think we all deserve that. We all need those moments, and those spaces where we can just escape from the reality of the world, just to give our minds and our bodies time to just rest. And it's creative, right? We get ideas, we get to see things, we get to experience things, and I think that helps. That's healthy in a sense to really refuel you in some capacity. So.
I love it. Um, so we were talking about earlier about God showing us one thing, and then life happens, right? The bottom falls out. We're like, oh my God, we're crying, whatever, whatever. But then there's a space of we're waiting.
Hmm.
So how do you continue to be consistent, but you're still waiting for your season or your moment?
Hmm.
Or do you feel like every season is your season? Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think for me, I go back to the and remind myself of other moments when I had to wait and I was uncertain and I didn't know what it was going to be like and how everything worked out in the end. Even if it didn't work out, even if it wasn't what I actually wanted, but I saw that something better came out of it or that it was a necessary pivot and it protected me from X, Y, and Z. Like when I start to get in places where I'm like, okay, God, I don't know about this, like, and I start to worry, I have to remind myself of the past. So I'll go back and I'll look at times when I was nervous as heck, not knowing what was going to work, if it was going to work out. And then at the ninth hour, it came, and I was like, "Dang it, geez," And so
Right.
those moments, because I think sometimes, and and I'm a big component about creating those wins, those. those overcome lists, those brag lists, those accomplishments, because with so much stuff going on in our day to day, in our present, it's easy to forget or not have it in the present, in the forefront of our mind,
Mhm.
things that we've accomplished, things that we've overcome. And a lot of times we feel like we're not doing enough. And if we go back and look at our track record, right? If we had a IMDb list for entrepreneurs or individuals, right?
Yeah.
Our credits would be, long and successful. And we'd be like, you know what? And it's interesting because, sometimes when people read our bios, like
Mhm.
if we ever go somewhere and someone introducing you, and you start to hear somebody else
Like,
introduce
who
you,
are they talking about?
who they talking about? And so it's like, so
Yeah.
sometimes we have to go back and we have to be the moderator that introduces us back to ourselves, right? To go back and look at the things that we've done. And that's a reminder, like, you know what? I'm right on track. So whatever this is right now, God, I know whatever you're doing and working on the background, it's going to be for my good. But in the meantime, what do I need to do right now? What do I need to do in this space where I'm still, that I need to tighten up on before my next level? Are
Yeah.
there some things, because we all have things that we can work on, right? I could be a little bit more patient. I could be a little bit more strategic or organized. And so I'm like, okay, I choose to work on some of these things because I'm pretty sure these elements are going to be something that I'm going to need next. And so I just look at things, that how I can just continue to improve myself. It's just, I
Mhm.
look at it as a moment of, you know, a refinement, so to speak. Even when I don't know, I'm like, okay, well, what can I work on for me, right? I'm gonna stop trying to look for the answers or look for, okay, well, what's the next thing I need to do? Let me just focus on me. Let me do some things for me. Let me reach out to some friends and strengthen up my network. Let me check on some people that I haven't checked on in a long time. I
Mhm.
just try to intentionally see how I can be more serving of self, but also serving to others, and just always looking for a way to improve, because we can always grow.
I think one thing I can say, Derek, like every time you and I connect and we are having conversations, you're always, and I'm not just saying it because you're my friend, but just pure fact, you're always serving, giving, pouring out. So who pours into Derek? Like, where do you go to get replenished?
Mhm.
Because if you're pouring into this person and to that person, and you're creating this brand, you have D squared, and you have,
Uh-huh.
you know, this over here, and you're doing Zumba. But do you have a mentor or a pastor or a confidant? Like,
Mhm.
what is your tribe? What does that look like?
So it looks like a number of different things, right? It looks like this, right? So connecting with you, and anytime that I get to have a conversation with my friend about stuff, or we get to help people, because I always say, our legacies, we'll never know the impact of our legacies, because we'll never know all the people that were impacted by our words and what we've said and what we've created. And so even right now, I look at this being as, it's a part of your legacy and what people will hear for years to come, and what someone heard today that they will share with their daughter or their son, and what they will share with their grandchild, because of that one thing that Camille said. So I think about, things like this, conversations, and then I have my friends that I just did a check in with one of my buddies the other day, and we're like kindred spirits, right?
Mhm.
And we pour into each other, and we were in the spirit on the same kind of conversation, and he poured in a word to me, and I was just like, yo. And the same, so I have those side conversations. I have a lot of those. I have my friends, we have some of us, we have standing Monday calls, standing Tuesday calls, just to check in. May not be long. And then, of course, reading and scripture and working out, of course, those are things, but it's all laced in serving and supporting others. Because for me, when I post and then somebody sends me a message like, "Oh my God, that's exactly what I needed," boom, I'm already refilled, because I'm working my gift. I'm in
Mhm.
the flow of my gift, and so when
Mhm.
I'm in that, it comes back. The
Mhm.
only time when I get drained and I don't feel replenished is when I'm doing something that is not in alignment.
And see, that's the thing because I think as creatives, we get burnt out, right?
Yeah.
We get exhausted. I've even spoken with other entrepreneurs and creators and innovators during this time in
Mhm.
COVID, and they're like, "Oh, I just can't come up with anything." Like I'm like, you hear of writer's block, and
Yes.
it's just like you're just like I
Yeah.
don't
Just
know, and just tapped out, right? So it's how do how do we cope as
mhm.
creatives when we have those moments of feeling burnt out, tapped out, and then you see somebody that's
Mhm.
not even doing half of what you're doing, but yet they're going viral. they're having $5,000 days, and you're just like, well, geez, like
Yeah.
what am I missing here? And so in that space of waiting, being consistent, trusting God, but at the same time, it's like, Lord, I'm on fumes right now. Like I'm
Hmm.
doing what I can to not drop this ball that you've given me. I'm pouring out, I'm giving, but yet I don't feel poured into.
Hmm.
You're searching for inspiration because you do want to inspire others, but then you're trying to continue to inspire yourselves.
Yeah.
So it's a very complex dance.
It is. It is. And one thing I that I had to do was for me was I had to redefine what was success for me,
Hmm.
right? What is actually success for me? Because at one point it was, having, a bi-coastal agency, we're having an office in LA, in New York, in Atlanta, working with all these major celebrity clients. And I was like, but is that really what I want? Or is that something I'm chasing because that's what I saw? And then my eyes wanted that because of the lifestyle that it created. And so over time, I've refined that. And so now for me, I've always in my hearts of heart wanted to be boutique, right? I just want to be extension of someone's team. For me, it's not about making the $1 million. It's about, is my family set and comfortable? What does that look like for me,
Hmm.
right? How can, and that's not to say that I'm not going to aspire to be great, but for me in the media, to protect my energy, my space, and my spirit, I have to get clear on, okay, what is success for me, so that way I'm defining it and I'm setting my own chart and my own course, and I'm not getting distracted by the people that are having the $5,000 days, the $10,000 days, and pinning it around that, because then I'll measure myself based off of that and
Yeah.
not necessarily off of, the impact that I am creating and what I am doing from that perspective. And so that, and that continues to be, to have its ebbs and flows of like, well, what is success for me now? What do I want to do? I'm making money. I'm making money. I'm good there. A lot of stuff that I do is behind the scenes. I don't. A lot of the work that I do and the way that I make my money is through corporate contracts and stuff like that. I don't do a lot of, stuff from the entrepreneur side, the one-on-one coaching and things of that. I do that because I love it, and so if I make money at it, great. And I do. Don't get me wrong. Right? There's some things around that, but it's not one of those things where I'm like, that's going to define who I am and that's going to define what success is for me. At the end of the day, I make the money on the corporate side so I can do more of the things on this side, so that I can start to create the space and get a feel for how I want to show up in this world and on this side, right? Because there's so many people doing a lot of the same thing that everybody else is doing, and so I'm like, where does Derek fit? Where are the gaps that I can fill, and then really being strategic and focusing on that, because a lot of people that we see having $5,000 days and things of the nature, I don't even know what's going on in the back end of their system. They could be stressed, miserable, unhappy. They could have a whole lot of things going on in the back end. How they get there, we don't know. And so I try to be, I try to kind of detach from that and just be like, okay, kudos to them. That's going to be me one day. But right now, you know, where I'm focusing on and where I'm operating in is a space of getting me right, my foundation right, so that when I do get there, ain't nothing going to shake me, right? Because a lot of people that we see are successful, they're 10 years, 15 years in, and a lot of times people don't tell the whole story.
Not only that too, but I'm also seeing to me social media is like a highlight reel,
It
right?
is.
It's like a snapshot, but it doesn't outline the story. Now some people do share their journey,
Mm-hmm.
but and we now granted there are some, oh, I quit my job 90 days ago and now I made $50,000 in 3 hours because I did a flash sale. Like those things happen,
Yeah.
but for the average entrepreneur that's transitioning from a nine to
Mm-hmm.
five, it doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah.
And of course, we have linears or outliners,
Mm-hmm.
exception to the rule.
Yeah.
But for the majority that lies within that median, that's
Yeah.
not the case. I think when I look at social media now, we're seeing such a drive for make that sale, do this strategy,
Mm-hmm.
uh, drop this nugget, this jewel, and then oh, you'll blow up, or it's just all these different
Yeah.
pieces to the puzzle. But it's and people are scrambling trying to grab all these crumbs because like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, if I do this, I'll go viral. If I do this, I'll make the 5,000 a day or the $50,000 day. If I run this coupon code, it's gonna give me those sales. And we can be so hard driven, but are we so driven to the point that we're telling people, oh, this is value, oh, add value, but
Hmm.
is it really a value or is it just another sale?
It's you have a lot of that going on where people will learn something right today, and they'll be trying to teach it tomorrow, right? They'll be trying to take the surface level of, the way to make the quick money, right?
Yeah, you started your brand this week, and then next week you're doing a master class, but you
Hmm.
just started.
You just started, and you're like, oh, 5 tips to do this, 25,
Mhm.
79 or
Three
whatever the
points
case
in a
is,
close.
with the points to close. And
Yeah.
it's like but when you really look at the people that are really thinking about the holistic approach,
Mhm.
and they're really thinking about the person or the people that they're trying to serve from the beginning to the end, those, and it's like food, right? Like microwave versus the oven. you know the food that you cook in the oven, the baked goods, that's going to take time to prep, time to make, trying,
That
like,
macaroni and cheese.
the macaroni and cheese, right? You talking about getting the instant macaroni and cheese, or you
Not
want the
the
baked
hungry
one?
man. We
The
want
hungry
the
man,
macaroni and
right? We want the slice extra sharp. We want all that stuff. We want to
cheese.
bake it in a pan, put it in that oven, and then, and so that's the difference where, there's some people that took time to create the recipe, adjust the recipe, get it just right, and then they know it like that. Versus some people that just say, okay, I just want to make some, I just want to feed some people something real quick. I don't care if it has nutritional value. I don't care if it's going to be healthy for them. I don't even care if it's what they need right now. I'm just doing it for me. And so there's also a difference between self-serving and those that are looking to serve others, right?
Yeah, and you have some people that cook and they haven't even tasted their own food, but they're
No,
telling you it's the bomb.
they're telling you it's the bomb, and they ain't tasted it one day in their life. And so, and that's like when you have people that give advice, but they don't take their own advice, right?
Mhm.
And so it's so that's why, I look at it from a perspective of there's so much of that being sold into the world. How can I sow the opposite of that so I can
Mhm.
balance it out? How can I sow in and pour in the positivity, the real talk conversations like this that we're having,
Mhm.
right? To help the mainstream entrepreneur who are not necessarily the outliers, and they will never be the outliers, right? They'll
Mhm.
always operate in this medium space. How can we support them so that they can still be successful, right? There's so many entrepreneurs that are successful, that are
Mhm.
making just 6 figures, and not aren't making 7 figures. They may never make 7 figures, and that's okay. And I think we have to get in a space where that is okay, as long as how you define the success is clear and it's applicable to you, and not getting caught up in what other people say that you should be doing and how you should be doing and what you should be making, right? I'm a
Mhm.
component about run your race, baby. Run your race, right? Your race, you may be the slowest one on the track, but you finished.
But that, I think that ties into capacity, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, someone that works out, this person may be able to lift 50 pounds. This person can bench
Hmm.
100. This person may be a beginner and do 10. I mean, we're
Yeah.
all in the gym, but we all started working out at different times. And then,
Hmm.
too, we could have worked out at the same time, like as far as beginning to train. But then you look at body composition,
Yeah.
BMI or um, your weight height ratios,
Hmm.
and there are different factors within your physique. They may say,
Yeah.
well, Derek can lift more than Cam, or vice
Hmm.
versa. So there's so many other factors where we cannot just compare ourselves
Yeah.
to the next person because their muscle memory and your
Hmm.
muscle memory may not be the same.
Yeah. I always think about being a good steward of what God gave me.
Hmm.
Am I being a good steward of what you gave me?
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be a Beyonce. I'm never going to be a Jay Z.
And
You
I
know what
think
I'm
that also ties into people. I mean,
saying? Yeah.
we're talking about steward over money and things, but being a good steward over relationships,
Yes.
the way I treat you, the way
Hmm.
I handle you, my integrity, am
Hmm.
I honest, or am I holding some cards behind my back
Yeah.
and I've got some other things going on that I'm not telling you about.
Hmm.
So now here I am taking choices away from you because I wasn't being honest and a
Hmm.
person of character and being
Yeah.
decent as a person and a friend. If you're my friend and I say, hey, I love you and you love me, but then where is that stewardship? Because if you're mishandling me, something here is off kilter.
Yeah.
And I think not only within our personal relationships, but also our professional relationships,
Hmm.
just the integrity of how we operate in business. Um, are we stepping over people? Are we cutting throats? Like, what are we doing
Yeah.
to get in those spaces, whether it's personal or professional?
Hmm.
You hear people say, well, sometimes you got to be a little selfish. It's, yeah, that's true to an extent, but where does that come into play when you're looking at how am I treating you as your neighbor, or I'm
Right.
your neighbor? Like, where is that line drawn when
Yeah.
we're looking at integrity and character?
Mhm. Like there's selfishness when it comes to protecting your peace and your space, but then
Mhm.
there's also selfishness in stepping on others to get what you want, right? Which one are you operating in? And I love that you said that because it is our intentions will always create what we receive in our atmosphere, right? Even
Mhm.
the subconscious intentions, like people say, oh, I want this. Well, you say that consciously, but subconsciously, what do you really want? Because really, what you want subconsciously is the thing that's more power of the conscious. So
Mm.
if your conscious and your subconscious aren't aligned with what you want, it ain't gonna happen because you say, "Oh yeah, I'm happy for you," but you're talking cash money junk in your subconscious, and
Mhm.
so it never translates, and so you're not gonna be a recipient of what you're sowing because what you're sowing is not good.
Right.
You're sowing fake love and fake happiness, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I always say, be real, and I tell people often, just be real. If you don't want to go, say no. Don't say yes, right? Don't say yes when you mean no, and don't say no when you mean yes.
Yeah,
Be
I think telling people what they want to hear because I
yeah.
don't want to hurt their feelings, or I just don't want to deal with conflict.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the mature thing to do is, hey, either pick up the phone, hey, let's sit down and have a conversation. And
Right.
that way we're in a space where we can both, in a space that's very healthy and very
Yeah.
emotionally safe, have a conversation, make those decisions at the table versus you just being a yes man or you're being manipulative or deceitful, because then there's other things coming around too. Because, like, well, can I really trust this person? Well, how can I trust this person with my business, my vision, my brand, or even me as a friend if you're not even being honest because you're not operating in integrity and you're not having character, you
Yeah.
know? And so then in that space, now you're going, now I have to reset my boundaries. I need
Mm-hmm.
to protect my peace. So now I'm having to make other decisions based on how you're moving. Because at the end of the day, I have to protect the space.
Yes.
Because, like, for you, Derek, you have a brand, you're teaching other people. And then when you're not on your A game, it's going to impact everything else that's connected to you. It's going to connect how you consult your clients. It's going to impact your business decisions. It's going to impact how you're with your friends. If you're kind of short or snippy because you're in a
Mm-hmm.
mood, you're in feelings, and you may not mean to snap at your friend, but
Yeah.
this thing has got you aggravated, and people are like, what's wrong with him? Like, Derek, gather yourself,
Get
child.
yourself
You
together.
know, so
Right.
it's just like all these things. So you have to kind of hit that reset button. But I mean, I may be rambling,
No,
but what
but
are your thoughts on that?
no, I love that because what showed it for me just then was anytime that I've been in those moods, it's
Mm-hmm,
because I put myself there because
mm-hmm,
I didn't keep my boundaries. I didn't say what I was really feeling. I didn't express myself, and I didn't stand up for myself in those situations. And I held on to that particular, anger, right?
mm-hmm.
And I said I was mad at them, but really I was mad at myself because I'm like, Derek, you didn't want to do that.
You
Somebody
didn't speak
tell you,
your truth.
I
Yeah.
didn't speak my truth. And so anytime that I've ever found myself in those situations, it's because of that. So like even this last 6 months, I've been very intentional. Even when I was afraid to do it, even when I was like, oh, I was nervous to say it, I just said it. I
Mm-hmm.
said what I felt. I said what I meant, and
Said what you said.
I said what I said, right? And I've been at so much more peace. Like even when there were clients that I was coaching and contracts negotiations, they'll say, "Hey, well, do you do this?" No, I don't do that. That's not what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And before you even need to be thinking about doing that, you need to do X, Y, and Z, or this is not going to work, right?
Right.
I was always hesitant of being just 100%, just real because I'm like, well, what if they don't want to work with me? And I'm like, at the end of the day, if they don't want to work with me, they don't want to work with me. I'm like, that's where my maturity and my growth has gotten me to this point where I am unapologetic. I am straight shooter. I'm straight to the point. I do it from a place of love, but I am going to protect myself and I am going to protect my integrity and I'm going to operate in the space where I know I can get your results. And I'm not going to add on things that I think I need to add because I need to add stuff to add value. No, I am valuable enough and what I bring to the table is valuable. So when you get to that space where
Mm-hmm.
you enough are valuable, where you don't have to add in other things from the outside to make it pretty and to make it, when I did that, every client that I worked with said yes,
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt. And it's been such a peaceful process of working with them, I've actually enjoyed working with them because I didn't add anything on my plate that I didn't need to do. And so I'm saying this as a testament that when you stand your ground, when you get clear in what you want to do, how you want to do it, how you best serve people in the space where you operate, you stick to it, right? They say just stick to your niche. The niche is not necessarily, I heard this earlier today in Clubhouse, that it's not the niche, is not necessarily the people that you're trying to serve. It's the niche is niching what you do. And some
Mhm.
people are so afraid of to niche what they do because they don't want to leave anything out. And coming from someone that worked in the agency side, that I've had to do everything: marketing, branding, media buying, all this other stuff. I can teach you on anything. But what's the one thing that I want to serve and how I best serve people right now is concept curation and content management and content creation and marketing. That's where and being an integrator, taking what you got on the plate and helping you create a strategy out of that. That's where everything and anything I do aligns, anything. And so outside of that, nope, I'm not going to teach no straight PR strategy because I don't just teach straight PR. I can do that, but that's
Mhm.
not where my focus is. I focus here. And if you need that, then we could talk about how we maybe work that in once we get to it. So once you get there, people, anybody that's listening, focus on doing the thing that you love and the thing that you do the best that you know. And what one thing helped me was I asked myself, okay, Derek, what's the common thing in everything that you do? What's the common thing that shows up in everything that you do, right? And for me, it was the concept creation, right? I got to take the idea that you have and we got to create something out of it. And what do we create out of it so that we can then build the strategy? And that was the consistent thing on my corporate job. When I met with clients, when I worked at the radio station, did media planning, media buying, that
Mhm.
was the core thing. And that's the thing I lean into right now.
I love it. I love it. Gosh, we could just talk
I
forever.
know.
You know, we'll probably talk another 15 minutes after this, but whatever.
Yeah.
But first of all, I want to say thank you so much for joining me. You were always just bringing, like I said earlier, insight and wisdom and maturity to the conversation. And I don't know about the audience, but you always bless me. Just, listen to you talk. I could just sit there and just like, and take it all in. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So with that being said, what are your future projects? Do you have anything that you're working on that we can check for, or what's going on with you in the future?
So I am super excited. So I actually launched my first course. Um, yeah, so it will be on December the 19th at 10:30 a.m. DerekDRoss.thinkific.com. And it's Get in Position, strategies to leverage and monetize your online presence. And so just really, sharing some of the proven techniques that I've done, 6 steps to really streamline your online presence. I'm also teaching a strategy of how you can be found easily online, and then also helping you take your expertise and niche it down so that you can create engaging content and also create opportunities out of that. And so I'll be going over all of that. And yeah, it's up and ready now. It's only $37. I'm dropping a workbook in there for you, and also my social media template. So the social media post template that I use when I'm creating content, just the key things that you need to make sure that you have in your social media post when you're creating content. So that's a bonus in there. But yeah, it'll be a live class. So when you purchase it, you'll get access to the downloads, but the class will actually be a live Zoom class on the 19th. And so the link will be in the portal in there. But I'm so excited. That's one of the things I said I wanted to do. And
Congratulations. That's
so,
awesome.
yeah,
I'm very proud of you. That is amazing. And it's only
only
$37.
37. I was like,
So who
I
can
feel like giving.
I mean, come on, $37. Let's do this, people. Let's support Derek in this project.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So yeah, so that's one thing. Is I hope to do. Well, I not hope. I will be doing more of those in 2021.
Hmm.
I'm sitting on so much knowledge and so much stuff, and I'm like, it's time to really create the space and put it out there. So I'm being very intentional about that, and I'm working. I'm working on finding. Everybody's been asking me when I'm writing a book, so I'm working on outlines and plans to start to to write the book. I have a title. And so I'm working on the outline. So
And when
2021.
that drops, I'm going to bring you back because I
Of
want the
course, of
exclusive.
course. I'll give
I
you
want
excuse.
the
I get
exclusive.
you an early copy of it and all
Come
that good
on
stuff. So
now, early autograph it.
autograph it, take a picture with it. But
Yes.
definitely. So I'm just excited because I'm finally leaning into serving and doing things for myself and things that God has called me and told me to do, but I've been putting off. serving and
With
working,
words in my hand.
clients and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so you're always an inspiration of that because I see how your podcasts have grown since we first met and we've talked and things that you've done. And so, again, I always say my peers are always the source of inspiration for me. And so when I see you doing your thing and I see your growth and how you're blossoming and things like that, it's a constant driver to, hey, keep going. We got that lateral pressure going. So
I feel that because every time you see a post, like you'll put up a graphic, I'm like, wait a minute. I need to up my visual game because this flyer is not giving them the business. Derek just changed the game. And then you posted something. I was like, oh, we're doing the same thing. Like,
we,
oh,
we listen, yeah. So I'm loving it, and I'm inspired by you. So continue, like you're doing to do your thing. You're impacting more people than you know. There are people that will never like our posts, that will never say anything to us directly, but they are inspired and they're watching us and they are learning from us, even if they don't say anything. So I want you to still be encouraged by that because I know that that's happening.
thank you, Derek. I'm humble. Oh, you know I'm sensitive. Don't do that. Thank you, hearts.
Hearts.
Thank you, Boo. Well, with that being said, where can people connect with you on social media and get the class that's coming up on December 19th?
So everything is, I made it simple for you. Everything is Derek D. Ross. On Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Derek D. Ross. Don't forget the D, my website, derekdross.com. And then my class, if you go, any of my links in my bios will have the masterclass up there, but it's derekdross.thinkific.com and you will see the course there. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I hope everyone got something from this episode of the Speaker Podcast. I'm Camille Essick. And until next time, be blessed. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Peace.